Hey there, it's Scott Adamson coming to you from the Production Academy headquarters here in New York City. I am shooting this a few days before it posts because tomorrow I'm flying out to the West Coast to do about a week of shows with the R&B singer Khalid, who's really amazing. I loved his last record, so I'm really looking forward to mixing these shows. But these will be arena shows, and I've said this in posts before, but one of the things I love most about my job is the variety. I love doing all different kinds of things. Yeah, my last tour was with a comedian named Fred Armisen. It was super fun, but we were doing much smaller venues. There was a much smaller crew. This will be arenas, and I'm especially looking forward to doing 2 nights at the Staples Center in downtown LA. It's a great room to mix in, and it's so much work getting an arena show up and going. It's fun when you can do 2 nights in a row to only have to set up once and get to do 2 nights in the same place. So that'll be really fun. Now, for this, I am filling in for my good friend CJ Blair, who's an amazing front of house engineer. Again, I love doing this sort of thing. Filling in, doing different artists, because I do get to mix a lot of really amazing artists this way. So really looking forward to filling in for him. But I did interview him for a webinar last year, and I thought it would be cool to share part of that conversation with you right here in this video. It's coming up in just a second. But we talk about a few things. We talk about transitioning from studio to live sound, which CJ did. We talk about what it took for CJ to get from where he was not being a live sound engineer to mixing sold out arena shows in a relatively short amount of time. And we also talk about his career path and kind of what he went through while he was building his live sound career over the past few years. So really great stuff. It's coming up in just a second. Now, one thing I do want to mention about doing arena shows is the audio crew looks completely different than it does if you're on a tour that's doing, say, 500 or 1,000 capacity rooms. First of all, arenas don't really have built-in PA systems like a lot of clubs do, where they have the audio system ready to go for a concert. They'll have an audio system installed, but it's used mostly for announcers at sporting events like basketball games or that sort of thing, so it's not really built for live music. So we actually bring the entire audio system in for each show. So it does take a lot of work. We need a much larger audio crew than just a front of house engineer and a monitor engineer. We need people to hang the PA. We need, most importantly, a system technician who's going to oversee the whole audio system while we're mixing. I'm going to be mixing front of house, taking care of the mix, and I'm going to hand that mix off to the systems tech, who's going to then translate that into the PA system for the entire room. There's a lot of different zones in arenas. There's not only the main PA hang, but there are side hangs, sometimes rear hangs. So there's a lot of ground to cover, and having a dedicated system tech helps the mix gets translated to all parts of the room really well. So this artist Khalid, he uses Clair for his audio provider. Now, Clair is a massive audio provider. They're an audio company that rents out touring packages to different people. They've been doing this for decades, and they're definitely one of the top in the world. So they do make their own proprietary PA. So they're not going to be carrying like L Acoustics PA or D&B PA or whatever. They actually make their own Clair PA. And their new Cohesion Series is really awesome. I got to use it in the Tacoma Dome last year. So really looking forward to hearing that PA in action. And the shows are going to be great, I'm sure, and I'm really looking forward to reporting back to you to how they go. And of course, I'll take some video and all that to show you some of the stuff that I see over the next week. So here's a little clip of my conversation with CJ from last year. I hope you enjoy it, and I will sign off right after that clip is done.
Yeah, it's fun, and it's such a different beast than doing live stuff for a couple different reasons. But like, I know a lot of live guys hate doing studio stuff, and vice versa. Studio guys hate doing live because they feel like it's too chaotic, and the live guys don't like doing studio because it's like they think it's too controlled and almost can be boring at times. But I like the balance of both. But I mean, I really don't do too much studio stuff at the moment.
Right.
I've kind of just been focusing more on touring.
Well, the same thing happened to me. I mean, when I started touring, there was just so much more work available for me, than studio stuff. So I jumped into it pretty hard, and didn't really get too much back into it. But I know I definitely have people ask me too, if it's, if you can do both, and I always tell people, that you can. It's a freelance gig, and there's definitely room to work on both sides of the thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, we met working for Haim. You were guitar teching for them.
Yep. Yeah, about
Um,
5 years ago.
so everybody at that time, CJ and I were touring together, and he wanted to transition from studio stuff to live stuff, and he kind of had questions about the live sound systems we use. So that was actually right about the time I started thinking about doing the school. So we kind of ran through a bunch of the technical stuff the live sound technical stuff, and I think he learned a lot from me. I hope.
Man, honestly, it was huge, because I I don't I've kind of gotten over this sense, but I I want to, not that I do know everything about everything, but I want to know everything about everything so I can like feel confident in what I'm doing. And so thinking about, like obviously mixing records and engineering out of a studio and stuff, like a lot of the same principles of sound, they exist in both worlds.
Right.
So, but in terms of actually showing up to a show that day and knowing how to tune a PA, run a stage, or and mix a show quickly, like it's super intimidating. So I was very nervous to do that, and through your help, of just like figuring out how to, like, not only learning a bunch of new things, but implementing the things that I did already know, and transferring it into this larger scale to be able to make a show happen, because that's all that matters. That's the job. Like, whether it's a good mix, a mediocre mix, or a bad mix, the show has to happen. And that's my biggest fear, is like not necessarily a mediocre sounding show, which happens from time to time, but it's like,
to everyone.
Like if what if it doesn't happen? What if I'm like dead in the tracks and like the console goes out, or like I just can't figure. So that's where I like kind of intimidated and nervous and wanted to know everything about everything. But you just encouraged me to just be like, you just got to go do it. You just gotta, and since I was already touring, like I was getting offers and stuff, and so I took some small ones and just started doing it. I was, scared and nervous, but
So what was your very first front of house touring job?
I worked for a band from Toronto called Down with Webster, and I was tour managing them as well. So it was a support tour, and we were doing fairly sizable rooms, like 2,000 cap, like we did like Best Buy Theater in New York, or whatever it's called now.
Yeah.
So yeah, it wasn't like a 100 cap tiny club tour or anything. So even though we weren't the headliner, I didn't have all the responsibility, but I definitely, I needed to be on and be able to make the shows happen, and I did, and one thing led to another, and that's just how it kind of just starts rolling.
So what were the bands you worked up with after that, and what have you done? What the past few tours you've done that you've been excited about the past couple of years?
Right now I'm like, after that I started doing monitors as well for this band called Catfish and the Bottlemen from the UK, and doing front of house for this other UK artist named Jack Garrett, this band from New York called Joywave, and right now I'm doing front of house for an R&B artist named Khalid, and that's been really exciting. And he's grown a lot over the last year, and has created a lot of cool opportunities for me and everybody else surrounding his team, and it's been a lot of fun.
Well, I know, like, for me and for a lot of engineers, getting with a band that getting with a band that has a lot of success and grows definitely creates opportunities for their crew as well.
Right.
I definitely got into some larger scale productions that I wouldn't have been able to do if I hadn't grown with certain bands. So it definitely helps a
Yeah.
lot. If you can get, it takes a little bit of luck, I know, but
I somehow have become pretty lucky with up and coming bands. I don't know how, but that's kind of my style, I think.
but like honestly, so many engineers I know that go out there and just do it and tour a lot and kind of just really go out and do the touring. Those opportunities come up for
Right.
for them. It's just a matter of, I think for a lot of people, just persistence and working through some gigs to get the bigger and bigger gigs, and
Right. But I think that's where it's, I mean, if anybody who's watching is like, maybe struggled with creating opportunities, it is like, it can be the frustrating thing about the touring or music business in general and stuff, whether it is studio or live stuff, but it's about like when you do get those opportunities, having the tools to be able to execute and keep those opportunities going. And that's why, like, especially, the live sound essential stuff, it's like you need to have those tools. So when those opportunities come, like you can keep that stuff rolling and you keep getting jobs, keep getting gigs, and just be busy all the time.
All right, hope you enjoy the conversations that I have with other engineers that I share. There are a few other ones that I've shared on the blog, so please check those out if you haven't done so already. And of course, if you don't mind, please subscribe to our YouTube channel right below this video. It really does help us out. So thanks a lot. I will get back to you when I'm back from tour and put together a little video montage for you so you see some of the gear I've been working, that I'm going to work with. Until then, hope you're having a great day. Bye.